Happy Cinco de Mayo, everyone, and welcome back to In the Corner. I'm Cash. Today is episode 50. I can't believe we reached 50 episodes. It's crazy. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you for listening. We have officially capped off the Super Bowl Cinco de Mayo weekend. Listen, a lot of it was disappointing. A lot of it was. Times Square was just a dud. Nothing great happened. We ruined the Ryan Garcia Devin Haney rematch, although we'll talk about that later. And then we had Canelo, which was the least amount of punches thrown in a 12-round fight. It was terrible. And then moving on to Vegas, it was like, this is our last hope, man. Inoue has to do it. And, Inoue usually always gives us all-action fights, but who knows, man? He did not disappoint. Ramon Cardenas did not disappoint. Rafael Espinoza did not disappoint. Edward Vazquez did not disappoint. These guys put on a show in what we had been needing. This was boxing's big weekend, and it was becoming a dud, and we were losing the run. I was seeing all the MMA guys post and say, oh, this is why MMA will always be better than boxing. And I was like, man, we were really putting on just a crappy showing. And then Sunday night in Las Vegas, and the one place where we had ticketed people and Americans came out, which, by the way, they did a great crowd. I don't think they sold it out, but everyone's posting before saying, oh, Inoue is not selling a lot in America because he wasn't a lot a few weeks ago, but that arena looked mostly filled. They had a huge crowd. It was very loud. It was great. And then T-Mobile Arena. And the best part of that event was it was on ESPN. It wasn't on pay-per-view, so many people got to see that. After the Dodgers-Braves game, everyone kept watching. They were promoting it on there. Everybody watched two incredible world title fights, all action, and this was exactly what we needed. Let's just talk about the main event. We're going to do a whole card breakdown. It won't be a super long episode, but let's just hop right into the main event. Naoya Inoue comes into this fight, and we are all expecting him to win, not face too much adversity. We didn't really know how much Cardenas would bring to the table, but we knew Inoue was going to win, and he did. But Inoue comes in here, and first round not all happened, and then but Inoue takes the round for me. Cardenas does pretty well. He's kind of winning the second round, and then he drops Inoue with a huge shot, way bigger than Luis Nery did. And we've seen this happen to Inoue before. He got dropped early, and then he's like, okay, got to turn it up, fight fire with fire. And that's what he did. But Cardenas won the second and third rounds, so he had gotten himself a lead. And then Inoue comes in, and has a huge fourth round, and he keeps on building. Sixth round is even bigger. Just unrelentless punishment, bullying Cardenas. He's got him on the ropes. He's just not stopping for anyone. Round 7, he drops him. Cardenas gets saved by the bell a little bit. We go into the 8th round, and Inoue puts him away. Some people had a problem with the stoppage. I thought it was fine. I thought Cardenas was really getting beat up in there. His corner had already told him, look, dude, I'm giving you one more round. You got to show me you want to be in there. You're taking too much punishment. And it's crazy how much, the tide can turn. 3 rounds before that, Cardenas was the one who was winning the fight. He had already hurt Inoue when Inoue hadn't hurt him. He looked like he was doing the bigger shots. But Inoue, just the monster, came out, and we got a brawl, and it was a Fight of the Year candidate. I already said, Eubank Ben is my Fight of the Year. That's going to be tough to beat. But we just saw something really special with Naoya Inoue and Ramon Cardenas. And credit to Cardenas, man. He was overlooked. He comes into this fight. He says, I want those titles. He drops Naoya Inoue in his big U.S. return. Which was so refreshing to see Inoue in prime time, man. Not having to wake up at 6 a.m. It was just awesome. And, he comes to fight, and he had some great moments in there. And so I think that we'll definitely see Cardenas in more fights, in more big fights. He'll get more opportunities. World title fight, we'll see. I think there's a really good chance, though. But yeah, Inoue really impressed me. After that little scare in the second round, I thought that he came back and bounced back really well. And, this is something with Inoue where we're going to see he's not necessarily invincible. He can get hit, but he always is going to end the fight on his terms. And he's going to make everyone honestly kind of forget about that. I don't think anyone necessarily forgot, but, Inoue was able to leave and be the winner and be the superstar. And make everyone, man, that Inoue is something else. But they really put on a show, and they showed what boxing is meant to be. And I'm glad that we got that this weekend with so many eyes on the sport and, so much excitement that at least one of these events did not disappoint, and Inoue Cardenas honestly over-delivered and made up for the other poor events. I was super impressed with them. As for what's next for Inoue, he's already got so many options. We know it's going to be Murodjon Akhmadaliev next in September in Japan. And then after that, they'd said the plan is to do Nick Ball in December in Riyadh and then do a fight with Junto Nakatani in 2026. Now, I'm okay with that. My only issue is so Inoue's going to move up to 126 to fight Nick Ball, and then he's going to move down back to 122 to fight Nakatani. I think he should fight Nakatani before he moves up to 126. So if you ask me, I'd rather have Nakatani before Ball, but I don't want to see Nakatani versus Inoue in Riyadh. That should be in Japan at the Tokyo Dome. But yeah, the next fight will be with Murodjon Akhmadaliev. This is the one that most people have been asking for. I don't think we're going to see anything different. I do think that MJ is number 2 in the division, and so that fight should take place, but I don't think that MJ is going to beat him by any standard. I think it'll be a challenge for Inoue, but I still think Inoue will stop him, as he does with everyone. And Akhmadaliev, we'll talk about that. Matchroom announced yesterday, day of the fight, that they have a fight booked for him now for Luis Castillo on May 30th on the Gallegos vs. Code 2 undercard in Mexico. And I'm like, what are we doing, man? Did we not learn on Friday that you don't risk the fight before the big fight? They already did it with Canelo, and he was able to come out of it because it's William Skull. And then you look at Ryan Garcia. He and Devin Haney are supposed to have a rematch. They put them both in with fights. Devin Haney won, but he looked terrible. And then Ryan Garcia lost his fight to Rolly Romero. So you cannot keep doing this. Like, I don't understand it. It's like, oh, we're going to keep him active. And I know Akhmadaliev will more than likely win this fight. He'll probably have no challenge in it. But you still, just the idea of it, it's like, come on, man, we can't be risking it. Like, he literally just got the fight signed this week. If they had already announced this Mexico date a week ago and then signed the Inoue fight, I would have not said a word. But the fact that we've already signed it and now you're announcing it, it's like, this is a bad idea. It's a bad idea. So, I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But we'll see what they do with him. I don't know. I hope he wins and we can still get that fight. But anyways, that's the main event. I was thoroughly impressed with both guys. It was a fantastic fight, and they really showed out for the sport. Co-main event, Rafael Espinoza. What do we do with this guy? He is just a monster. I know we said monster with Inoue, but he really is as well. He's so big for the weight class, and Edward Vazquez wasn't even doing bad. He was having his own little moments, some nice shots. He was defending himself mostly okay. It was just that Espinoza was so much bigger, so much stronger. And like he literally was just out of his depth and he couldn't compete. He had just too much of a disadvantage. There was nothing he could do. And Rafael Espinoza was bullying him for 6 rounds. Just relentless, the pressure, the activity, the power. He threw more punches in 7 minutes than Canelo did his entire fight on Saturday night. Let that sink in. That is what we need to see from boxing. He threw 177 punches, they said, at the beginning of the third round, and Canelo had thrown 150 something in his entire fight. It's just ridiculous. It was unbelievable. He was throwing nonstop, and he was landing most of them. It was just incredible. It was one-sided, sure, but it was fantastic. What's next for him? He's got tons of options. He can wait for Inoue to move up to 126, and he can fight him. He obviously will have another fight before then. I think he's made a few defenses of his title. If he defends it again, I want to see somebody like Bruce Carrington, a top-ranked fight. I want to see him in with Nick Ball. The action would be incredible, and the height disparity would I don't even know how you do that. Stephen Fulton is there. Angelo Leo would be incredible. And then you got him moving up to 130. Emmanuel Navarrete is a phenomenal fight. They're both WBO champions, so that fight gets made immediately. And that is an absolute war. Espinoza is certain to move up at some point because he's so big for 126. But, man, it's just incredible. Espinoza gives himself a 7th round stoppage against Edward Vazquez. Good stoppage. He was getting, just beaten to a pulp. And I was thoroughly impressed from the WBO featherweight champion. Big fights ahead for him. I really hope that he got the attention last night that he deserves and that he's growing his profile because he is an all-action, guaranteed, always fun, and always entertaining to watch. Which right now we're finding not everyone is in boxing, but Rafael Espinoza and Naoya Inoue are. On the undercard, Rohan Polanco had a 10-round unanimous decision, won every round, including a knockdown in the final round over Fabian Maidana. He looked incredible. This guy is a really, really good welterweight prospect, and he's becoming a little bit of a contender. I believe he was a ranking with the WBO. I know that he's called out Brian Norman Jr., which, again, he's nowhere near close to a world title, But for some reason, I just love that fight. It's an in-house fight for Top Rank to make. We know they like to do that. Emmanuel Navarrete is fighting Charlie Suarez next. Nobody thought Charlie Suarez was anywhere near a world title, but here we are. So it's a fight that they could make. I'd like to see him in with some big names soon, just because I feel like he is super good. And yeah, we'll see what they do with him. But I was thoroughly impressed with his performance again. Emiliano Vargas, another second round TKO. This kid is a monster. He's so much fun to watch. He has so many second round specifically knockouts. It's incredible. Um, he's progressing really well. I like to see him in 10 rounders by the end of the year. I think he's ready for that jump. I know they said they don't want to push him too far because he is still so young. But, I mean, he's ready, dude. He's so good. And just to fight with him one day with Abdullah Mason is just mouth-watering. Mikito Nakano had a fourth round stoppage after 5 knockdowns to Pedro Marquez. This guy, you could just tell, was so powerful because he wasn't even throwing big shots, and all those knockdowns was the guy taking a knee. You say, I can't do this. I can't do this. That's how you know how strong someone is and how much power they have, where they just make you want to quit. You cannot continue. Super impressed with him. Never seen him fight before, but, he started off the night for Japan well. Enjoyed that. Harper Jr. got a stoppage in the final round over the guy who just upset Nico Ali Walsh in February, so that's a good one for him. He's progressing well. And then Ra'is Aleem kicked off the card versus Rudy Garcia in a fight that I thought was a lot closer. I had Aleem winning 96-94. One of the judges had it 99-91. I thought that Garcia made it very competitive. I honestly wouldn't even be surprised at a draw, but Aleem gets the win. Good fight, and just a really good card. The Times Square card was terrible. The Canelo Skull card was not much better. And then this card really delivered, even though it had way less names overall. But I'm really happy with what we got with the main and co-main event. And that was what we needed from the sport. So happy with that event. It was so refreshing. After just 2 days of bad events, and mainly it wasn't that they were just bad events. It was how much we were excited for them to be good events. And they just didn't live up to it. This one did. Inoue said his final weight class is going to be at featherweight, which isn't too surprising. Remember, I think he started his career at 105 or 108, so he's already come up a lot. He's going to fill out at some point. I think we'll see if he actually ends up at 126. I wouldn't be surprised. We know that he's been at 122 for a good while here, so he's probably very fine making the weight cut. So don't be talking about Gervonta Davis or none of that. There's still lots of good fights at featherweight, and he can go undisputed there and become a 3-time undisputed champion, which would be crazy. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We're going to talk about literally 2 pieces of news. Anthony Joshua is apparently set to have surgery on his elbow in May. He said this last night, or 2 nights ago, I guess, at the Canelo Skull fight. We know he's been injured for a while and has had some little small injuries that have been preventing him from getting into camp, and apparently he wasn't allowed to punch for a while. And I mean, it's now been 8 months, and he's just now going into surgery. AJ's going to be out of the ring by the time his fight comes around, whenever it does, it'll be a year probably. He's going to need a few months to recover, and then he's going to need a few months for training camp. We probably won't see him until the fall, which sucks. I hope they can still do Tyson Fury, but if not, I don't really know what you do. If Dubois beats Usyk, they may want to do that rematch for Undisputed, which would be crazy, but it can happen with AJ's star power. You can do a fight with Joseph Parker. Ajay Kabayel, maybe even. I don't really know what you do with him, but I still think that we will see AJ fight again. And then Devin Haney apparently still wants the Ryan Garcia rematch, and he'll look to enforce their agreement. So that is good to see because Ryan will take that. Ryan needs a big fight. He's the one coming off of a loss, and Devin isn't. Even though Devin looked terrible, Devin is the one who's coming off of a loss, and he needs to come back and get that. And get that big performance. So he's the one that honestly kind of has the say right now, and that's good to see that they're going to make that happen. But I'm super excited to see that rematch happen. It should still happen, but we'll see. I don't really know what to expect with that whole situation. I think it will and should be Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney 2 next. Hopefully they make that fight. It's a huge fight. Really need a big fight right now, but it's just lost its luster a lot. It really has. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. It was a good episode. Great weekend. Actually, no, not a great weekend. Great fight card last night. The rest of the weekend was pathetic. Canelo and Crawford did meet up again at Turkey's little house and had another face-off, probably agreeing to the fight. And I just want to say, they look about the same size. Crawford's bulked up a lot. He and Canelo look very similar in size. I think Crawford may even be a little bit taller, so I don't know, man. I don't know. Canelo's definitely still going to have an advantage being more comfortable there, but Crawford's going to size out really well. So I'm excited for that. September 12th, the next, you know, super fight. And yeah, thank you so much for listening, and peace out.